Oh, damn. Herman, that's quality right there.
I told you I wasn't playing.
Woo!
Dude's not fucking around this week.
All right, so we're live then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So are we up and running on Facebook, I imagine?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, cool.
So I guess everyone should be getting the notifications shortly. So do you have the dog today, Joseph?
No, I left him in the house. I was going to bring him, but figured you guys would just mute me anyways.
Let's roll canine free.
I figured we'll do that unless I absolutely have to have him.
Okay.
Fingers crossed we'll be at a different place with better internet in the future.
Dude, that shirt is hideous. What is that, a lime turquoise blend?
That's green and white tie-dye, so fuck yourself.
That's like if John Brown and the Incredible Hulk fucked. That's what that would be.
This is an awesome shirt. Thank you very much. I'm not trying to score ladies. I've already got one.
It's evident, man. It's evident.
Can you guys hear my heater? Anyone? Oh, fuck.
Here we go. we're in clown mode.
Sorry.
We're in clown mode right away.
Okay, well, this just isn't working this time. I don't know why.
Do you wear those glasses every day?
Yeah, it's for my eyes.
Like, what's wrong with your eyes?
Brightness.
Yeah.
When you go to the optician, do you have to ask, give me the Dahmer special, or how does that work?
I do that out of free will.
Awesome.
All right, so yeah, I confirmed it. We're live. So you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess today's topic is the Doug Erlich call out that he posted to his Facebook page. So for those of you out there that don't know, Doug Erlich called out any 176-pound arm wrestler to a super match for $1,000. My understanding is that each individual put up their $1,000. Winner takes the loser's money at some event that fits both pullers' schedule. I don't think there are any more details than that, right, Gobby?
That's it. That's all I saw.
Yeah, so straight called out everybody. So, yeah, this is a big deal. So I guess I'll open it up. I'll let Gobby take the floor. What are your thoughts, Gobby?
Well, I think it's a little bit of he's a little bit of an unknown, and I think that's going to scare some people. He hasn't pulled in a while. He's a heavier guy coming down. When he was in top form, he was virtually unbeatable, although he wasn't. The sample size was kind of small. I think because of that, there's not going to be any takers. There would be takers for a couple $100, I think, if a guy was local, like a Tim Lewis or something like before. What the fuck? But I think with that amount of money and that much of unknown, I don't think there'll be any takers. That's my take on it.
What do you think, Joseph?
For $1,000, I'm pretty sure there's enough Southern guys down there. Somebody's going to step up. I mean, how far away is Craig from being able to make 76?
Well, I'm always told that Craig walks around at 185,
Well, there we go.
190, and he complains about the heavier guys in the 195. So it seems like this would be a sweet spot for Craig.
Well, for $1,000, wouldn't you try and make the cut and make the money?
I don't believe Craig ever takes matches that he's not confident or the alarming favorite. And I think him dropping down to pull Doug at 176 is not in his best interest. I don't think, in his mind, I don't believe that's a good match for him. I'd be shocked if he or Dan took it. I think they have a specific small weight, like a span of weight that they enjoy pulling super matches at. And if you're willing to meet them there, that's great. But they won't go out of that comfort zone. I don't think it'll be those two. Maybe someone comes out of the woodwork. I don't know. But I don't think.
What about Justin?
Yeah, that guy fears no one. I think he range up to 210 down to 160. I mean, he's pulled 165, and I don't think he fears any man. So if I had to put my money down, I can see Justin Bishop doing it, and I can see him being the favorite in that match, actually, regardless of the arm. Yeah, he's about the only guy I would put as an equal chance favorite over Doug, and I say that only because the sample size for Doug is small right now, and for Justin, he never has really, especially against a guy that light. I mean, he got smoked by Storm. I think Storm had like 25 pounds on him, and if he didn't at the day, he walks around at a much heavier weight, and Justin had a bad performance. But against a 176 guy, I mean, Doug would have to probably lose a little bit more weight than Justin. No way. I like Justin there all day.
Yeah, I think Justin would have a hard time because of his flat-wristed style.
Yeah.
I see his wrist. I think the match stops. At that point, I think Doug has the stronger arm. Yeah. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to get on Doug's arm, and I outweigh Doug by probably 40 pounds right now. So when it comes to the straps and a flat-wristed or cracked back Justin, I think it would be very hard for him to finish Doug from that position.
Yeah, here's the thing too. A lot of guys when they have time off, maybe they're in the gym, maybe they're not, but they're obviously away from the table. A lot of times their arm strength stays intact, but what happens over the course of a super match is it's their hand conditioning and their forearm. Once their forearm pumps, they can lose their hand. And against Justin, I think that's a complete nightmare for him because I don't think he can get that hook every time. I think Justin can kind of keep him a little bit outside, and Justin has a shitload of stamina. I think it goes straps. I think Justin would probably outlast him. I don't think Doug would be able to get everything he wants in every single match.
I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But Doug just pulled Valentin Gospodinov from Bulgaria. Did you see that match?
I did not.
Okay. And I think Doug won right-handed. And I think there were close matches left-handed. And, I mean, Valentin is, like, super legit.
Doug pulled with his wrist back a lot, didn't he?
Who's that, Doug?
Yeah.
I think they both cracked each other at some point. But for Doug to have that kind of a match against a WAF champion and someone that's kind of proven, I mean, I kind of think he would probably mop the 176 field here in the United States, as I don't think there's anybody in their prime that has left the United States.
Mm-hmm. That's
well, Justin has. Justin has recently. But I don't know if he's done well against someone like Doug has.
Yeah. There's Corey Miller, who walks around at probably around 180, so it would be an easy cut. But we don't know what form. I don't know how active he is, but he's like the legit. He's one of the top 176 guys in North America. That's for sure.
So this is right hand only, right?
I think.
Yeah.
Was it right? Okay, it was right.
Okay, so United States only or Canada? No.
Wow, who gives a shit?
I don't think he cares.
You got that 70-year Toronto.
Anthony D'Antonia?
176 would be huge, a big jump for him. And he's like, I'm not saying he's prime, but he's in like he's pushing the back end of that prime year, of those prime years. I think he kills Anthony. There's Crazy George, but who the fuck wants to see that guy?
I would.
You see that fucking move, no one wants to see that.
I mean, is it a bone lock?
It is a fucking bone lock. It's a Mike Todd special.
Dude.
Before Mike Todd started squatting, I mean, he started that move, and it's an absolute bone lock. Yeah, I can argue he does it better than Michael Todd, but it's an absolute bone lock. I don't care what people say. I've had people say, well, he's just getting, as he gets older, he just gains more stamina and strength. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, if that's what you believe, you're not very bright. I'm not saying you can't gain athleticism in your 40s, but the guy's pushing 7-0 and you're telling me he's all of a sudden getting into these, his endurance is elite, and all of a sudden his strength is elite, and it has nothing to do with a bone lock. He's just, tremendously athletically strong. The fuck out of here. It's an absolute bone lock.
Super heavyweights on steroids can't pin him.
Yeah,
Correct.
And I've seen him pull like shitty low-end amateurs that pull up to his class, and he still can't pin them. Like, he's still got to wait a minute and a half before they and while he's just playing with them, he's just toying with them. Bullshit. You're stronger than a guy when you can flat out take him and pin him When you're toying around and you need the guy to get down to about 10% of his strength to pin him, I don't care what you say. You're not strong. You're not strong at all. And, no respect for that shit.
It's something to see. I hadn't seen it until 2017 Michigan State, and it was just like, man, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? It's fucking garbage, man. It's junk. How can you respect that move? Even if you see its merit and you say, well, it has...
Oh, I've tried it. It doesn't work for me, man. It's not like anyone can do it like that.
It doesn't work for you because it didn't work for George in the first year. We're talking about people that have cultivated this move for damn near half a decade, practiced everything they do. They're playing off that bone lock, and of course they have no cup. It's all pronation that's going with that lock. It's all, once they get in the strap and it becomes one fluid move, and it becomes first nature to them. I mean, of course you can't, of course you try it the first time, you're not going to be able to sustain it. I mean, a lot of things have to adapt for you to be proficient in that move. All I'm saying is the argument that it's valuable is sound, but the argument where they're super strong or it's horseshit. It's evasion, and I mean top roll is evasion, but top rolling you can use explosive power to finish a guy. But this isn't even. This is waiting till the guy dwindles down to the last of his fumes, and you pin him. Like the fuck, and garbage. It's bad for spectating, and it's bad for the sport in general.
So, who else could give Doug a run?
I think that's it, man. I think we're looking at Justin. We're looking at Corey. We're looking at potentially those two Louisiana boys.
Well, Dan doesn't count. Dan is over 200 pounds, so like Dan won't make 76. He's like a lean 200 plus at times. Hoffman mentioned Sam Harris.
Oh,
yeah, I was gonna say Jeff Hale, Sam Harris.
Yeah, Luke Kent, if he can stave off the tears for a couple hours. That's about it.
Dude, I think Doug mops everybody. That's my personal opinion. At 176.
There's only one guy that I would think, well, it's Justin Bishop that I would be unsure, and I'd even maybe slightly favor him. Left, not right. But he's the only one that I think makes it interesting. I think he kills everyone else. He's just too strong. I agree.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone takes the match because it's
what if Tony Kotowski makes 76?
No. I don't think Tony takes that match because I don't think Tony wants to go down to 176. Like, I don't think
he's walking her. I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly.
In that video, he's was it? It wasn't Montana. Was it Minnesota?
No,
Derek. That the recent tournament, but he looked 185 at least. He did not look 176. He still looked relatively thick.
But he looked close, maybe. Yeah. No.
I think Tony would have the hand and wrist to maybe do something.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's in the group. I think he's got the best hand and wrist.
Yeah. What about Jeff Hale?
No. He's not a middleweight, and he's a legit stud lightweight. But when you start talking about guys that walk around at 185 coming down, he's walking around at maybe 70. He does not have. He does not. I mean, he can pull anyone under 165. 176.
How about a guy who's been pulling 76 lately that normally doesn't? Bill Logsdon.
Doesn't have the arm. Not at that weight. Has the hand, but not enough arm behind it to do anything with Doug. Straps, Doug would destroy him.
Yeah, and I think the best Bill Logsdon was 220, cutting to 198.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bill was ever great at this light of a weight, but I mean, there's a lot of history I probably just don't know.
I don't know. Every puller has a sweet spot, a range of weight which they feel absolutely amazing at. When they go above it or below it, even though they might look better or it puts them in a lower weight class, they usually don't perform as well. We've seen that often. Guys like, wow, I'm getting down to a lighter weight class, I'm going to dominate, and all of a sudden they don't. And they look better when they were a little bit heavier. Everyone has that sweet spot.
Yeah, unfortunately, my sweet spot's around 265.
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew I was going to say it, Ron Klemba.
Too old, not enough arm. Ron in his peak, if you pull Ron 2004, 2006 against Doug today, he can match his hand, but again, it goes straps, and he's going to get destroyed. And now you're going. He's like a good 6 years past his prime. Ron's
Jamie Sheldon?
no. Again, that's a stud lightweight, and he's giving up. No one can give up weight against Doug and win.
I thought Jamie was walking around heavier now.
Doesn't have the arm. Doug doesn't have the arm. Doug's like a bigger frame guy, and I can see Doug losing to maybe a guy with a similar build. He's not losing to a smaller built guy because he just not in North America anyway. Russians.
Chad Silvers.
Yeah, but that's
Ooh.
Chad is not a big lightweight. He's a big medium. He's a big, he's a middleweight, and arguably his upper body is a light heavyweight. So I can see Chad doing that. But
his upper body is bigger than mine for sure.
Yeah, but Chad's not a 165, 170 guy anymore. Jamie and Jeff are. So I can see Chad because Chad's in the same grouping as Doug, a bigger five guy coming down, a bigger framed middleweight, or arguably a light heavyweight coming down. But
what is Doug walking at right now?
I think 180, 185.
Okay, so it's not even really a cut for him then. He's basically walking there.
Yeah, he pulled 171 at Zloty in 2016.
Yeah. And he didn't fare very well, did he?
2.5 years ago.
I don't remember his exact placing, but I think he had some good matches. And it's a tough tournament with the draw and stuff like that. When was the last time we saw Chad?
Well, he
WL.
No, it's been pulled within a year because I know I got a notification for the rankings that he took a couple of wins, so he's technically active. It was a smaller tournament. But when was the last time we've seen him in heavy competition? I think it's like 2 years or 3 years at Wall. Yeah.
I think it was a PAF tournament in Florida.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I don't know though.
Yeah, but Chad always kills. I mean, there's like, if Chad loses, it's to Todd.
Yeah. Yeah. Chad and Doug would be massive. That would be the ideal matchup if we can have it. But
due to activity, I think Craig would be higher on my list. I just don't see Craig taking the match.
Right.
Under any circumstances, he won't take that match.
Craig picks and chooses his moments, right? He's the one that picks. He's the one who really does it. He's not on the other.
Yeah, Craig or Justin. Those are my two.
Yeah. Well, Doug's what, Georgia? So Chad's not far. He's one state over. Justin would be what, 2 states over? It's not that bad.
Yeah, I think Doug is maybe 5 hours from Craig, maybe less.
Yeah. I mean, Corey would be a long ways. We don't know what form Corey's at, so that's hard to say.
So let me ask you this: if a promoter put up the cash, do people take the match, or do they still duck Doug?
No, certain guys will. But who wouldn't take a super match if everything's paid and you're getting money? Like who wouldn't take?
I was just gonna say somebody.
For everyone to get paid is unlikely, but if you paid your travel expenses, but you didn't have to put up the $1,000, you just had a chance at $1,000, you still would come out of pocket, but you could make money if you won.
Well, and it's
not everyone. That's not a slam dunk, I think.
No, and it's a prestigious. You get the chance to. It was kind of like Derek Smith versus John Berzin, albeit John coming out of retirement. But that's like you have no chance to win. The whole world knew it. But I mean,
people will take that match just to get exposure, and I mean, they're not going to win, but they'll take it if everything's paid or even some of it's paid.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be foolish.
Yeah, but if you're talking exposure, the people that guaranteed would take the match are people that shouldn't even be on the stage to begin with. It's actually harder to get those other top 5 guys to take the match
because they don't want to lose.
Yeah, Doug's a tough draw.
Well, I don't believe Chad.
It's not a win by any means to anyone.
No, Chad, it would be a question of scheduling and money and where he's at. I don't think there's certain pullers. I don't. They fear.
How heavy is Chad?
Chad wouldn't fear. Corey wouldn't fear. I just find Craig would dance around it and want maybe to 182 or specific to what he wants. But Chad would have no issues with it. He wouldn't run from that match at all.
Who do you want to most see against Doug?
I'd love to see Chad.
I think Craig's at the top of my list. I'd like to see that one.
Craig's easily at the top of my list. Easily.
What's that, Gobby?
You want to see it, Herman, only because you want to see Craig get his ass handed to him. That's why.
Jeez.
I'd be a big fan of Craig's. I don't mind Craig. I mean, Craig seems like a hell of a gentleman.
I want to know if Doug can stop Craig's hit.
It depends. Are they calling elbow fouls?
That's a better question.
If they call the elbow fouls, I think Doug wins 3-0 if we're going best of 5.
Man.
3-0.
You're going hard to the hoop on this one, huh?
It's the truth. If you call elbow fouls, 3-0. If you call elbow fouls, Rob beats Craig 3-0. In that match that Rob lost, I think 3-1 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Craig also you have to kind of respect Craig as well. He's come up in every weight class. He's performed in every weight class. He's pulled in tons of tournaments. I mean, I know
like every weight class.
We've seen a lot of elbow fouls, but the dude's legit. Yeah.
How can you say it's legit if you see all the elbow fouls?
In respect to his complete career, I'm looking at his whole.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But I mean, the last 3-4 years in WAL, man.
Yeah, what WAL? He's jumping elbows, and everyone else is jumped. I mean, there's no one pulling WAL that's not trying to concede or trying to take a concession somewhere. I mean, if it's not on the elbow, it's on the hit, it's on the cup, it's something. It's on the strap. I mean, if you go to a wall and try to go straight up fair, you're going to get killed. So I don't blame him for that. If it's a super match and he's taking all those things, and that's another thing. But in a tournament like Wall, I think you have to go in with the mindset of I'm going to try to cheat in every aspect I can. Only assume to make the assumption that your opponent will be doing the same.
Do you know who I could beat if I could elbow foul like that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Imagine 2018 Craig at Zloty. Like,
you wouldn't want to win like that, though. I mean, would you?
Craig against at Zloty?
Well, because Zloty with there's zero margin for elbow fouls. Could you imagine?
Correct. That's why Marcio went in 2017, and he was dead even with Krasimir in the hook.
Yeah, I saw that.
He didn't even get a medal because all the other guys he should have swamped, he fouled out against.
Right.
But definitely he was the second strongest guy in the class.
Yeah.
So like fouls matter, but yeah. I don't know. I'd love to have that automatic advantage and head start every match.
I'm bad at practice, always making sure the guys at practice don't cheat. They want to do a simulation ready go, and they're trying to take this, they're trying to take that, and I'm trying to tell them like, you're not helping yourself. You almost have to. I think you almost have to have like your setup almost has to be automatic and more or less legit, especially when it comes to pad management with your elbow. I think you can go on false starts and stuff like that, but you have so many. You have 3-4 shots at it. But when it comes to elbow fouls, you don't want to lose a match that way. I think it's good to practice elbow management during training sessions.
Those losses hurt.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of Doug?
Well, I just don't know anyone else in the United States at 76.
It's moot. It's moot because no one's going to take it. Like next up,
exactly.
Taking that match, there's no point talking about it.
All right. What's your next topic, Gobby?
I'd like to throw a little bit of a plug to Artem. The Florida, like that dude has people don't realize like he's fairly popular. He has his own show, his podcast, whatever, and this guy has the literary capacity of like a 4-year-old in English, and yet he's putting out these videos. Like, and I'm not making fun of him. It sounds like I'm making fun of him because his command of the English language is bordering on retarded. But the dude must have an amazing amount of confidence to pump out video after video with such a poor, shitty vocabulary. Like, I give him credit. Like, he's got to have a confidence, and he's got some balls because, he's limited that way. So I give him credit. Definitely credit. So shout out to Artem. I don't even know what his last name is.
I thought it was Top Roll.
Tarasenko or
No, I think it's Top Roll.
yeah, whatever it is.
In Russia, they just give you arm wrestling last names.
Keep it up. I bought
I think you get to pick. Don't you get to pick your names?
That bottom 8 stuff that Devin and John Mill came up with. I mean, Artem's making a run at it. Go for it, bud.
Yeah, who does that? Who wants to be a part of the bottom 8?
Is that real?
Apparently, they're going to try to make it a real event.
No, it's fictitious. No, fuck. Come on. You got fucking. I mean, I'm in there, so I'm not gonna start bashing it. But you got to fucking. You got to.
Well, are you going to show up?
What's that?
Are you going to show up to the event?
Fuck no.
Hey, speaking of bottom 8 and Ryan Bowen, I spoke to Ryan Bowen a while back. He didn't know who Brent Rockers is or Alan Ford.
Wow. 2 stud 198 guys too, right in his weight class.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, Brent was, 2-3-time Triple Crown champion? Yeah. Alan was the, number 2 guy in North America for a long time? Maybe number 1 at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was amazing.
Yeah. Well,
had no clue or
for all the new
heard
people.
The name.
Well, Bowen's relatively new in the sport, right? He's 3-4 years and really.
No, man, maybe 5 years. But, I mean, even then, I know who the 80s guys are and the 90s guys are. I wasn't around back then.
Yeah. The thing is, Ryan's not seeking out top matches or great challenges. What he's seeking out is the most popular guy so he can get the most hits. He doesn't give a fuck about progression, or he just wants to do whatever he can to get his name out there, right? So Alan and Brent are not that glamorous anymore, only because they don't come out very often. So it would not give him, it doesn't benefit him to know them well. But if there's a guy that's trending high, if there's a guy that's super popular within that 180 to 210 range, you can be sure Ryan's halfway up his ass, only so he can get the fucking hits and the volume on that.
The views. It's all about the views.
Yeah, but I mean, he's also been training to compete at. Well, I guess at one point he was competing at 165. Now he's around 200 pounds. So you would think you would have watched some type of 200-pound USA videos.
What weight class was it when Ryan lost that qualifier in Australia to his teammate and started crying? Was that I think that was 165. He was trying to qualify for Vegas, and I think
165.
Yeah,
I mean, that's rough, You never want to see a full grown man cry like that. That was pretty sad. No one.
Well, especially when I pull supers and his frame is bigger than mine.
Yeah. There you go.
No.
165. He goes from running to 165, losing 22 pounds of water, almost killing himself, to now he's soft. He's 210, 212. It's dude, you should be 186, 185. It's some guys, they're picking one of two crazy extremes. Like I said, there's an optimal weight range for everyone. But for some reason, he's going too high or too low. I don't know why. Maybe because if he loses, he can say, well, I'm too soft, or I lost too much water, or he has an excuse regardless. I don't know. No questions coming in, Herm, or what?
No, it's a slow day. I think they're enjoying the Doug talk, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do have one comment. Let's see if I can pull this one up. I thought this was interesting.
What about questions from last week? No?
No, the comment is from James Work. It says, Herman, shave the stash, and it'll throw the refs off enough to not see fouls.
Who wrote that?
James Work.
Block him. That's lame.
All right, James is blocked.
Yeah.
Let's take this off.
If you're going to come at us with something edgy. Don't leave that fucking politically correct generic shit holstered up. Fuck that, man.
Holstered up.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we got one for you.
Yeah.
What's the next competition for you?
Michigan State's.
Well, no. First weekend of March, I'm going to try to make Eric Hussein's tournament. Only because it's close, and I love to support that guy. He's just a great ambassador to the sport. But other than that, it's 100% peaking for Michigan State. And I believe it's September 7th or 9th, first or second weekend of September. Man, I think I can't believe more people don't hit that tournament. I mean, granted, he gets a shitload of entries. He gets 300, but
September 7th.
That's it. I mean, you can't. It's just fucking awesome. Best goddamn fucking trophies I've ever seen. And for a 20 or $25 entry fee and top 3, it's not like he just gives us the first. It's top 3. Fucking amazing. I'll never miss that event, barring something crazy.
Jake Houston said he'll see you in Michigan.
Yeah, he'll kill me. He's right dominant. His right is Titanic. I go there for the left. I mean, my right will probably get a bronze fucking gorilla, but the left is my go-to arm. But Jake's a stud right-handed. Like that guy's, he's got a great hook.
I got a question for you guys. Is arm wrestling dead?
No, I think arm wrestling now. I mean, there's peaks and valleys, but I think arm wrestling. I mean, Wall's coming up with another season. I mean, so just that.
Who gives a shit? It's in the transition point, in my opinion.
Well, whatever.
So let me give you some context. And maybe it's because of where I am in my career, but I remember when I started, you had local tournaments. You could have 100+ entries, at a local event. People would go, people would hang out. There'd be intense competition. Now there's so many local events that they're effectively all crap. They're almost all low entries. I have a feeling that people like myself just don't go to local events anymore, which I don't think was the case when I started 9 years ago. So if we lost something, over the last 5 years with the large influx of tournaments?
Well, because of the oversaturation, we've gained quantity and lost quality, right? That's a certainty. There's no doubt about that. So you have a lot more of these promoters trying to make a buck or trying to. I think it's easy to make money at an event, and seeing a lot more smaller events. So what happens is it's never been better for the novice/amateur puller that wants to like shoehorn his ass into a certain tournament and avoid this guy and avoid that guy and walk out with a fucking second or third place trophy. Right? It's gold for fuckers like that. But in terms of the elite guy looking to go to that tournament where he's going to get 14 guys in his class, like back in the late 80s, where no matter if you went to a big event, all the big names are going to be there. You have a heavy class and it would be deep and it would be strong. That's a rarity.
There's like maybe
in America it's a rarity. You can go to as lot
2 events a year like that, like Arnold, Michigan, maybe.
Well, Michigan, yeah, but Michigan's not. Let's face it, Michigan's a low to mediocre pro level event. There's no cash.
Well, a lot of more people used to go, like Hutchings, Talbot. I mean, a lot more people used to go to that, like higher level guys.
And if you ask them now why they don't, it's an oversaturation. It's hard to go. Well, drive 7 hours to Michigan, yeah, but there's a tournament an hour and a half the weekend before, the weekend after, and friends.
Yeah.
So people are just like, well,
we don't have oversaturation in Minnesota. There's only really one guy who puts on events. That's Josh, and he's taking a break, so I'm going to run a couple events, and that's it for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Nobody else runs events here. That's it.
Yeah, I remember in California, I moved there around 2012. So 2013, you go to a tournament, you could have me, Kenny Hughes, Brian Brandon, Tom Nelson, Michael Vaz at a local tournament. No money or maybe a couple $100 for first place. And that doesn't exist anymore. And I don't know if it'll ever exist again. It's kind of interesting.
Well, it will.
I don't know if people realize what we lost or how low the quality has become due to the oversaturation.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think social media has hurt that as well. Back when I started in arm wrestling, it was all flyers. Well, it was the end of that era, and then social media, was pouring in just shortly after that. But so when you aim for based on a flyer, I mean, just now Facebook, you can see who's going to this event, who's going to that event, and you can either pick out that event due to who's going or to avoid someone might be going, go to a different tournament. So social media kind of like hurts the oversaturation as well, right? I mean, it's good. It's good, but in respect to creating stronger, more higher quality tournaments opposed to smaller, mediocre tournaments, it's not ideal.
Do you think people avoid those tournaments and those losses because the video is going to be put on social media?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the rankings will get changed.
I know one thing. I don't know if the sport's ever been. I know it's been worse than it is now. I can tell you that, and I can tell you that it's been better. We're not at a terrible point, but I can tell you this: there's never ever been more hypersensitivity among arm wrestlers, or more evasion, and that is 100%. While cultural, it's the culture of society as well, but that's ignited by social media. You know, you can fucking go to a tournament, right? You can be a novice. You can go to a tournament and sneak into a novice class and have a couple good matches, long matches, video, and it could be video recorded and then put on Facebook, and the guy will get like 50 likes, 50 comments by other fucking omegas. Hey man, you're a beast, you're awesome, and this guy gets an overwhelming sense of accomplishment, and it's false, right? But for him, it's legit, and he thinks, you know, it breeds that shit. It breeds this false sense of accomplishment because everything is amplified on social media.
But if it keeps him arm wrestling, is that bad or good?
There's never been more. Like, if you divide arm wrestlers into different demographics, the elite, high-end elite guys are fading, or they're just staying at home. But the fucking low-end,
well, money-driven.
Well, the number ones to the number threes, so you're that's like 96% of the arm wrestling world is that high-end novice to middle or low-end pro. Like that's like 95% of the arm wrestling world are those guys that go to these mediocre tournaments, but will absolutely avoid the elite tournaments. And the elite guys are just like picking and choosing, and sometimes it's only one event a year. Like look at Herman. How often does Herman pull? Once a year? Like, oh, you might go to a tournament and fuck around, but how many events are you actually trying to peak? Basically Zlati and maybe something else, like not much more than that.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah. So that's
this year's different. I'm pulling a lot more tournaments this year, so it's different for me.
With all respect, Joseph, you're in that lower demographic of novice amateur. No offense, but or high end amateur. You're like at that point. You're 6 years in where you want to hit more. You want to get in there. You want to
not quite 5, but
yeah. Something like that, So, and that's
well, I'm just going to so many events to film. I figure, well, if I'm traveling, really no sense not competing once I'm going that far.
Okay. It's not fair to put you in that category because you're puller / promoter / like you do so many things for the sport on your own dime that it's not fair to just lump you in with those guys that just are searching for, false accomplishments. You're on a different level only because of
the goal is to try and make the mark. That's it, really, this year, and is be known more of a puller than anything else.
Yeah. Well, winning Michigan State last year definitely put you on the map in terms of being just like a guy to just deal like a legit fucking puller, right?
Yeah, that and Fallen Heroes, I had a couple of good matches. Other than that, that was about it. I took a lot of losses. I always do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of it. Yeah.
Hey, Gobby, have you seen those same issues in Canada? Like, do you guys have the same frequency or high number of events like we have here in the States?
Yeah, well, of course, the shit's universal in North America. I remember last year there was like Ontario was like a province, but it's basically like it's a state, like it's a division. And there was one weekend there were 3 tournaments in one weekend, and each tournament got like 4 guys a class. Like, and it's just it's just killing the sport. It's good for the guy who wants to fit in there and he's terrible. He wins one match, he walks out with a 3rd place trophy because you got to buy a win, and that's good enough in a 4 or 5 man class. But you have more people walking away with trophies than ever. But trophies won within a class of 5-6 guys. They're
correct. So this would be like me getting a trophy when I go play recreational basketball every week.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like Todd Hutchings would be, Shaquille O'Neal or somebody. Yeah. Right. Maybe I'm a college basketball player, and then you have everybody else would be recreational, right?
Yeah.
So why would you get trophies for this? Why would this go on Facebook?
Yeah, dude, I fucking love arm wrestling, since 2005. But it always has been and always will be a hotbed for the underachieving weekend athlete that, especially now with social media amplifies that, but who wants to just get pats on the back and have the optics of being an athlete. Look, I got a second place trophy, but leaving out the fact that there were 2 guys in the class. Like I see that all the and I hit people on Facebook. They're like, "Oh, look, I finished second and third," and they're like, "Oh, I feel this is the best tournament. How many in the class?" And they avoid it, right? They're like, "Oh, well, I had a great tournament. Well, how many in the class? Well, we went 5 together, and we drove back, and we got how many in the class? Well, the reffing was okay," and they just fucking avoid it because the answer is 2 in one class, 3 in the other, and that just totally discredits their accomplishment. And that's where arm wrestling's at.
Correct. And then you have the super matches.
Yeah, fuck, Joe Nobody versus Joe Nobody. Like Pete Milano and James Rodriguez started super matches in 2005, and it was like elite guy versus elite guy, and then slowly, it slowly trickles down to different promoters just calling anything a super match. And I went to a practice a couple weeks ago, and I love all my guys, but they're like on Facebook and like, "Hey buddy, you want to have a super match?" I'm like, "Yeah, practice." And I'm like, so now it's to the point where a guy who's never pulled a tournament is pulling another guy who's never pulled a tournament at practice, and they're titling it a super match, and they're taking a video on it, and they're tagging people, and it's like, this is where we are. This is the sad state of arm wrestling. Super matches. And I'm like, nah, it's not a super match.
It's a title thing, though, right? You call it a challenge match or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
So I got a question that says, do these organizers communicate about their events? Perhaps a collaboration would help the problem. I'll jump on this one. So no, there's almost no collaboration. I think at times they try to post schedules so that people don't overlap. Overlap still occurs. And, after a couple of years of the oversaturation and low attendance, you would think there'd be some adjustments made, but that really hasn't happened, which I guess would segue into the next segment or another discussion, in that these promoters must be making money on these 30, 40, and 50 entry events to continue doing this.
Yeah.
Depends on how far they go with, refs, awards, all that stuff.
$25.
That dictates essentially how much money you're going to make.
You can do the
But
math.
if they keep doing it, they have to be making money.
Well, yes.
I don't see a lot of these promoters, being super rich that they will just keep losing money on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 events per year. So if you have 50 entries and you're charging $25, what's that, $1,200 or something like this? I don't know. Are you clearing a few $100 that weekend? And if you get lucky and you get 100 entries, then that's just all profit on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So they have to be making money.
Yeah. The guy that comes out, a poor man's Robert Drink or Kaplan, and they have a sponsor and they run this pro elite and they're giving $20,000 or $15,000. These guys lose money. It's a hell of an event. They're proud. Guys love it. Guys fly in from all over the place. They lose money. The guys making money are the $25 an entry fee, $6 medal for top 3, $6 trophy. These are the people making money, selling T-shirts for $25 a pop.
Well, what they're really selling is the idea of being a champion.
Right.
The ability to post.
And they're catering.
On the Joe's Barbecue and Bar Championship.
And they're catering that large demographic that I'm telling you about, that demographic of guys that just are not looking to absolutely challenge themselves. They're looking to, capitalize on the part of them underachieving. Just, I don't know.
So if there's no local events or smaller events, what's the solution then? Just bigger events, or?
No, you would reduce the number of local events. You still have to have local events. You still need a recreational segment. You still need a feeder system for larger events and larger paid organizations.
How many different
frequency
leagues are in your guys' area? Because we just don't see oversaturation even in the tri-state area where we are, and we're talking a big area, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not many leagues. There's one league that I know of in the bordering on my province, and ideally, a big league that can monopolize the whole pool of arm wrestling is really what you'd want, and we've come close to that. The problem is, we've seen Travis try to do it. We've seen UAL. The problem is what they try to go too big too fast, and they try to capitalize too much too quick. But ultimately, that's what would win it over is a guy controlling the league that's monopolizing, but he's doing it the right way and he's doing it slowly. He virtually has no competition. What would he do if he gained success? If you push out the smaller guys, and he would be able to create a monopoly on arm wrestling if he did it right. But,
so what's the ideal number in state? How many events per year?
Well, it depends on the state. You can't compare California to Wyoming, or it depends on the state.
Generalize it.
I don't know what number that is. I could tell you this: that an event can be divided into a fail or a success based on the average amount of entries per weight class. And there's also too many weight classes per event, because if you add in a weight class, so you have 6 weight classes as opposed to 3. You got more guys that can come in and fit into a weight class and hopefully finish the top 3. So you're seeing more weight classes, and with more weight classes, you're seeing less people per weight class. And when you only have 4 people per weight class, there's less credibility to the event, because winning it is meh. When you had 4 nationals or 3 nationals in your country, and then every year you're pumping out with masters and youth, you're pumping out 400, 500 national champions. How much credibility is given to a national title holder if 17% of all the pullers in America are quote unquote national title holders? It's like, oh yeah, good for you. Like it just doesn't.
I agree.
So in determining how many events you should have per state or per, area or per traveling radius, I guess one way to look at it would be, how many events should someone compete in to get good at arm wrestling or maintain peak levels of arm wrestling?
I plan on running 3 this year. That's what I'm trying to do.
How many would you compete in a year, Gobby? If your goal is to improve, be the best in the world, or just be the best that you can be.
Do I at this stage?
Not a social thing, not a fun thing. This is just what do you think is optimal?
In this scenario, me who I am now, or me still learning to arm wrestle? Like, it depends what stage you're at. Like you can.
Okay, since we're talking about the lower tier, let's say you're still trying to learn how to arm wrestle.
Okay, so if you're still I think even if you want to become the next John Brzezinski and you're in your 3rd year, where at your 3rd year you're doing good stuff, but you're still not completely refined in what to do at a tournament, you haven't fully mastered your craft, I think you need to now the question is, do you lack, no matter how you're doing, are you lacking raw ability? Are you losing matches because you're not technically sound, or are you losing matches because you're not strong enough? If you're losing matches because you're not technically sound enough, I think you've got to, or you're not you're not reacting well enough at the table, I think you need to hit more tournaments. If you're never losing matches because you lack mechanics or the technical aspect of it, but you're just not strong enough, you got to pull back on the tournaments. You got to hit the practice table, or even the gym. It depends where you're at. There's no answer. But I can tell you this: generally, if you're looking to be great, if you're looking to do great things, when it comes, less is more. Only because when you're looking at the best in the sport, it's more specific training. It's more a long end peak to that one big event. Lead body, you're not hitting a whole bunch of local things. You're trying to peak and specifically work on certain things or strengthen certain things. And at your stage, you're not going to do that at a tournament. You're going to do that in your gym or on the practice table with your guys, right? Joe, for example, Joe's not technically. He might have some issues in his technical game, so maybe hitting tournaments is a little bit more pragmatic for him. I don't know. It depends on where your deficiencies are, I guess.
Yeah, I would lean towards 3 to 4 events per year.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough to actually get through multiple full training cycles to show improvement at an event. And it also gives you time to take an off season to recover. Now, saying that, I did 19 tournaments in my first 14 months in the sport.
And that's common. That's common for people. Well, maybe not.
Correct. But I think I could have simulated all of that at a practice. Yeah. And I think chasing those tournaments and then feeling the need to rest for those tournaments, you actually just lose out on so much training time that, it's kind of hard to sell me on more than 4 times a year competing to get good.
Yeah.
Now, if you just like the social environment and you want to hang out, and that's part of the sport too, go for it. We got a comment from James Work. He says he has a list of 25 tournaments happening in 2019 within 10 hours of most Tennessee arm wrestlers.
I believe it. Yeah.
That's too many, right?
See, there's oversaturation down by you guys, but just
Well, it's not too many if he's getting 14 per class. It's not. It depends. It all depends on the results of the participation. But I can't believe. I mean, I can't believe he's getting that. It's probably more like 3 and making money, or the promoters in that area are making money, and they keep pumping out tournaments to pocket a couple $100, and that's fine. I mean, it's not illegal. It's not even unethical. It's just not ideal for our sport or the credibility of our sport. But also, 4 tournaments a year. I mean, I think in a perfect world, if I had to peak to 12 months to a tournament that's 12 months away, I would probably hit 1 tournament every 3 months. I would peak specifically for a tournament, hit it, and then depending on how I do or where I think my deficiencies lie after the performance, I would make small adjustments and lead up to another 3 months. So I think you're right. I think anywhere from 2 to 5, not 5 might be a little bit too much, but 2 to 4. If you're an elite bowler, I think that's pretty much right in the range.
Yeah, I think I've been at 3 to 4 for the last 2 years, maybe.
That makes sense. In 2006, I checked because I checked all my trophies. I did. I went to 25 events in between 2006 and 2007. In the calendar year, I hit 26 events. Yeah, every 2 weeks on the road, sometimes more on average.
Yeah, and Joseph, with respect to saturation in your area, even if you have too few tournaments, or even if you don't have oversaturation, the oversaturation in other places impacts your tournament, because people like me get haggled to go to 30 tournaments per year. I'm never going to go to your Minnesota tournament. No. So it impacts other events.
I know.
And I think, getting back to the promoter thing, I think there's also the culture of code has changed too. I think if you look back, if you ask Denise and Leonard when they started, I think there was a strict code of open communication to all other promoters, and I think there was tremendous mutual respect to. There was an unwritten rule where if he's having a tournament on this day, on this weekend, we're not going anywhere near that date unless we're like 12 states over. I think there was a code. Now I don't think in life in general there's less code. People have less codes. And that transcends into arm wrestling, and more people are just doing what the fuck they want to get what they want, to get their name out on Facebook and to pocket a couple $100 and to try to do this and try to do that, and they don't give a fuck.
There's pretty good coordination in our area for the most part, but I mean there's not that many different promoters or even really leagues per se. You either have USAA or AAA, and it's either basically Michigan area or North Dakota has some events. Minnesota's kind of always been, non-affiliated. It's always just been Josh, just running events.
But Joseph, all it would take would be for one hyper-aggressive promoter to come in, and then you're in balance.
They've tried, though. They've tried. PAF's tried running events here. Nobody will run them.
That's an outside guy. Minnesota's too far away. All it takes is one person from Minnesota to decide that they're going to throw 12 tournaments a year, and you become yeah. So
no,
I mean,
I hear you.
Thing where you are right now, but don't think the current oversaturation in other places doesn't impact you, or that it can't be Minnesota in the short term.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I had a question from, let's see if I can pull this up, from Russ, asking if, let's see here, should you pull more tournaments in the first 5 years of your career?
Well, not only should you, that's the exact norm. There's no one that pulls more tournaments in the second 5 years of their career than the first. I don't think we've ever seen that. So it's just the norm, only because of the excitement factor, and they want to get out there and do things and test myself. In the first 5 years, you're just getting out there and finding out who you are and having fun. In the second 5 years, it's where you're trying to specifically challenge and target and accomplish specific things. And you gotta, you gotta work on specific things. You gotta dial the level of participation and activity and dial up your training. So I think norm, whether or not it's optimal, I think most people just arm wrestle for fun. No one goes into arm wrestling in their first year with these specific, rather just let's have fun, let's pull.
Hey, check this out. Jason Merlot says, I even see tournament directors waiting for a tournament date to get put down, and then they set their date the week before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but if that's true, that's pretty pretty awesome.
It's like used car salesman tactics.
Oh no, we definitely have some used car salespeople in arm wrestling.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
offense to the honest and ethical used car salespeople out there.
Yeah.
What else you have, Gobby? Anything else on the agenda?
No training questions? We're not no training?
No. Huh. No, none.
Wow.
What about the one from last week that you said was a good one that was left over?
It was from Kang.
Pronation curls?
Roger. Yeah, well, what he did, I read it quickly, and it says, how do you implement pronation in your curls? And which is a hell of a good question. I can go into that. But when I looked at it again today to go back and to see it, it said table curl. So I think he was trying to mock or trying to troll, because everyone knows table curls is horseshit. So I think he was just trying to get a reaction. But actually, I was thinking about that today, and everyone look at videos on the training site and everything like that. And people usually when people train pronation, they train it with isolation. So it's bands. It's just strictly pronation, and you're isolating that area. I actually think now I have no ground behind this because my pronation is terrible, but I actually find if you would grab a 60, let's say you take, so you do pronation in a compound type exercise. You take a dumbbell where you can add and take off weight. You put 2-to-1 ratio. So on the right, if you're with your right hand, you put 60 on the right side and 30 on the left side. Okay, and you start in a conventional off the bench, conventional hook position, and as you pronate, and because it's a 2-to-1 ratio, it's actually working your bicep, your brachialis, but it's bringing in your pronation, and you're coming up into a hammer curl. Whenever I've done this over a period of a couple of weeks, my pronation on the table is so much more effective than simply doing iso pronation stuff. So, and that's when he asked that, I kind of thought of that, and so to answer him, I believe, although there's no credibility behind it because I have terrible pronation, I believe using it as a compound type exercise or implementing it as a compound type exercise with your brachial and your bicep has a better transition to the table than all this ISO bullshit that we see. My opinion, but there's no credibility behind it.
Yeah, personally, I always train pronation and bicep as a compound exercise.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. And Artem once said, a Russian trainer once told him that whenever you're working specific parts of the wrist, you want to do it in a way that your bicep, chest, all the other big major components are supporting it, because you can add more weight. And although you're adding 120 pounds of resistance to the exercise and the pronator isn't garnering all that 120 pounds for sure, it helps build and support it, because that's what arm wrestling is. Arm wrestling is it's a symbiosis of many things working together to perform something. So to sit down and do isolation over isolation of your pronation and do an isolation of your supination, I don't know. Now Devin does it. A lot of people do it, and to a high degree of success. I just don't think scientifically it makes sense. I believe you should try to compound them, because when we train on the table, everything is compounded, right? You're not just trying to simply pronate a guy. When you're pronating, you're adding a back pressure through your lat, back pressure through your bicep. Everything's coming into play. Everything's working together to accomplish a goal. So why not do that when you train as well? If you're trying, if that's the goal is to be better on the table.
How do you train your pronation, Joseph?
Sometimes I use a sledgehammer. It's just weighted on the one end. Otherwise,
jump
for the most part over a belt. Probably the same way 90% of other people do, I guess. Sometimes I'll hold something out, like if it's a belt or if it's a strap. I'll just lock my pronation out like in the starting position with whatever weight it is. But yeah.
We got a question from Alexander Paquette. Half range of motion or full range of motion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You put on glasses.
It revolves around your health level. If your joints are super healthy, you want to build horsepower, so you're looking at static. If you're dealing with nagging injuries, health more of a goal than just upping your horsepower, having full motion. But there's no denying that to build arm wrestling strength, it's through static. It's not full range. I mean, if you can only do full range curls like a bodybuilder, or you can only do static partial holds on a table, there's no doubt that the latter is going to help you your arm wrestling career. But if that's all you do, you will eventually run into injury. So, like everything else in life, it's a balance, and you have to read off the body. My joints are sore, my tendons are sore. I need to do a little bit more rehab, or my tendons are a little bit stronger than my bicep.
You got volume coming through on your end, Chris?
It depends where you're at. Good question, but it all depends on where your strengths are and where you're at.
Somebody talking on your end, Herman or Chris?
No.
Chris is cutting out every once in a while.
Okay.
So I guess maybe one last question and we'll wrap it up. Darren Kwong asked, what do we think about Devin Larratt's current training program? Did you guys see one of the latest videos he put out?
No.
Okay, so Devin mentioned speaking to someone at Zloty, and it seems that Devin's going to basically take up a high-intensity, high-frequency type program, like the Europeans use, like the Olympic weightlifters use. He said he's going to go after it hard for maybe a year. So a lot of low reps, a lot of high frequency.
I think it's a mistake. Where's Devin's weakness? Devin's weakness is not in his, tendon strength. It's not in his. Usually, when he loses to guys, he's losing to guys with just more muscle mass on their frame. So Devin, if I'm coaching Devin, I'm saying, dial down your table. No one has your conditioning. No one has your table. You don't need to be on the table as much as you are. He needs to put on 25 fucking muscle. He needs to have stronger pecs, stronger biceps, stronger lats. He needs to put on weight. He needs more dynamic strength. He needs to add horsepower, not specific table conditioning. So for him,
but I think the program is going to be him lifting weights.
Oh, but I just heard high frequency.
No, weights heavier than he's used to, maybe at a higher frequency weights than he's used to.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, he's got to definitely go in the direction of weights. High frequency, I don't know. Are you getting stronger with high frequency, or is it low frequency, higher intensity?
It depends. I mean, it depends on the system you follow. I mean, Todd follows high frequency, and I probably followed even higher frequency than that. So, I mean, I tend to lean towards that. But there's always more than one way to skin the cat.
High frequency, very low volume, though.
Correct. So Devin's going to have to cut his volume on stuff. Yeah. I don't know. He didn't really explain that he would back off on his table time. But I know for a fact if he backed off on his table time, by default, he would get stronger.
Yeah. I think when you lose a match, you have to ask yourself, why'd you lose? So why do you lose to Dennis? Didn't lose to Dennis because his tendon conditioning or his table mechanics wasn't strong enough. He just lost badly to just a stronger human being.
He just wasn't strong enough. I agree.
It's like, and we're not even talking nickels and dimes. We're talking a massive gap. Like the gap between me and Herman. That's a huge gap. That was the gap between Dennis and Devin.
Yeah, and Dennis has effectively never really lost straight up left-handed.
No.
So Dennis is what Travis tells people he is.
Yeah.
Dennis really is the greatest left hand of all time, period.
I agree.
I think that was just a tough matchup. Anyone would have taken that match and it would look the same way, I think.
Are you saying Dennis is the best lefty of all time? Is that what you just stated?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. All right, who is it, Gobby? What do you think?
Yeah.
Can you argue that he's the best now or the strongest? Oh yeah. Travis Bagent left hand is probably made over $400,000. Like Dennis.
Anthony Laterio made $175,000 on low-end tournaments in the last 2 years, but you wouldn't say he's the best promoter.
I'm not talking stealing and lying to people. I'm not talking.
Are those facts?
Okay. Hold on. Are you listening to who we're talking about here?
Are those facts, Herman?
Huh?
$175,000.
No.
Look, I have it on good authority that number is legit. I got that number from a guy.
Bullshit. No. Someone got.
No way, dude. No way.
If that's legit, someone better go arrest that guy.
That's what I was told.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Okay, so you're saying based on money alone, Travis is the best lefty.
No. So it's more than that. Dennis, you're saying the best ever. He's had what, 17 left-handed matches in his career? Like,
has Travis ever lost lefty?
I don't know.
Has Travis done anything outside of the United States since 2006?
For me, Travis is arguably he's the best lefty we've ever seen, in my opinion. Only because it can't be just done in a small sample size. He's done it over a decade, decade and a half, maybe two.
Which decade? Which decade, Gobby? What years?
I just want to see him versus Dennis, and then I'll tell you who I think the best lefty is.
What years and what locations?
Between 1999 and the present, 21 years. How many matches has he lost left? For Travis Agent.
How many times has he competed in the last 15 years?
More than Dennis over a large
outside the United States on the world on a real world stage.
He beat Vovoda in the left-hand super match in 2003.
Vovoda wasn't even top 10 left-handed.
Yeah. It's not his fault. He's never lost with big money.
No. It is his fault because he refused to leave the country.
No,
he knows why he didn't leave the country.
He left the country. He's left his country more than Dennis has ever left his country. Albeit,
but Dennis's country is the world setting. I mean, Dennis's area is the world setting.
The sample size is too small. It's an argument. I mean, it's a sound argument.
I'm asking, how big is Travis's sample size really, where he was number one in the world, 2003 to 2006?
Okay, so in a 21-year span, if you would pick up the phone and say, Travis, I have a left-handed super match, this guy, unlimited weight, Travis is how much, I'll be there. And that's not his fault. He's so fucking dominant, and the gap between him and the second guy is so fucking huge. Now, Dennis, I mean, you can argue it's the same thing, just on a smaller, on a lot shorter timeline. But you cannot. I'm not saying Dennis isn't the answer. I'm saying you cannot dismiss Travis.
When's the first year Dennis pulled?
What's that, Joseph?
When's the first year Dennis pulled left-handed?
2010, 2011.
No, I think he started like back in 2005. I mean, he wasn't like the greatest guy ever. He's probably
Didn't he pull Brzezinski in 2004?
Huh?
Didn't he pull Brzezinski in 2004?
Dennis?
Dennis? No.
Yeah.
No. Dennis is like the big Dennis that we all know, I think came around 2008, 2009. But I think he started before then. He was little Dennis then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But even since 2008, like left-handed, I mean, the only times he's lost, I think, were situational. You know, he was burned or gassed from some other person. An overall match. The dude's been pretty nasty, Gobby.
But really, if you want to look at the best lefty, if you just look at straight ability, the best lefty to ever live in arm wrestling is Oleg. He was beating guys 70, dominating elite, 80 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah, pound for pound.
Well, not even. Well, yeah, pound for pound. If you're talking unlimited weight, yeah, it's Dennis or Travis. Yeah, I go with Travis only because it's a larger sample size. We haven't seen enough of Dennis, but I mean, either one's an argument. I mean, it's sound either way. You can't really.
I just want to see them both pull. And do you think we will see that or no?
No.
Travis and Dennis?
Yeah.
No, Travis said he needs like over $100,000.
Said he needs 100,000.
Yeah, which is not. That's not the real number. That's a I don't want to pull number.
That's right. That's you're gonna have to. I'm not that confident, and you're gonna have to pay me so abundantly that it's almost never gonna happen. Yeah. No. Yeah. That would be a hell of a matchup. And right now, you might have to go with Dennis. But if Travis has a couple months or 6 months to train, gears up, who knows?
No. 6-0.
I don't know about that.
6-0?
Dennis can pull without his hand. Dennis can press. Dennis can King's move. He's got too many tools. And no one wants to believe that the guy can pull, but the guy can pull.
The wrist would go back. Travis is the best money arm wrestler we've ever seen, right or left. He's the best fucking clutch money arm wrestler we've ever seen.
I'll give Travis for sure at least 2 wins.
I have trouble betting against Travis's left against anyone with a lot of money on the line. He peaked.
So what do you say, Gobby? What do you say Travis wins prediction-wise if it were to happen?
Man, you can't predict it because there's so many variables you would not know.
Just do it. Who cares?
Fuck, man. It can be anywhere from a 3-3 to 5-1, and it can be either way. I'm not
okay.
It's inconceivable that Dennis doesn't win 6-0. I'm just saying, based on what we've seen, and with enough money on the line, I have trouble betting against Travis's left arm.
Well, if $100,000 is legit on the line,
Travis, the more money goes on, the better Travis. And Dennis is awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, the guy's a fucking beast. He's not very intelligent. Like, he's not a smart arm wrestler. I think that'll eventually hurt him. It didn't hurt him with Devin because his strength gap was so there was such a disparity in strength. But against Travis,
I think you're underestimating Dennis. I mean, Devin tried to play the grip game and burn him out in the setup, and he couldn't. Look, Dennis refused to get – the dude's not dumb.
That's because his hand was 400% stronger, not because he was smarter. He was just –
No, even every time Devin tried to false start or tried to engage, he just let it go. The dude, he's controlled, and he's a hell of a lot smarter than you think. I'm telling you, man. And Dennis 10 years ago, yeah, he couldn't arm wrestle. That guy's made some improvements from a technical standpoint. His decision, yeah,
I agree.
That's the crazy thing. It's not just that he's strong, but all he has to do is be a half decent arm wrestler, and he wasn't. Now he's probably a little bit more than a half decent arm wrestler.
Yeah, but anytime you make a blanket statement, it's my job, no matter what, to play the devil's advocate. And it's well, you know that on Facebook. It's not. There's an argument there, and I'm not saying this is an argument. You can't dismiss Travis. I just, you know. Yeah.
You guys ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take it easy, guys.